there's a lot of misconception about aiming in FPS games, how you improve on it, how the pros are so good, and how some players can be very good in one game, really bad in another, while players like, for example, Shroud can, jump from FPS game to FPS game, and his aim is still insane. And today, I want to talk about that. Hello, my beautiful and lovely gamers. As always, it's your favorite coach, Jonal. Today, we'll talk about Aim Trainer. I've used an Aim Trainer for about 150 hours now. It's been a while since I started using a specific Aim Trainer. I've done in-game, so for example, when I played competitively in Overwatch, I used Overwatch in-game game modes as aim training. Stuff like Ana bots, if you're familiar with Overwatch, where you spawn a bunch of bots of the character Ana, and you essentially do they can't shoot back, but you can shoot at them. There's also a bunch of game modes that are really good in that game, and you'll see stuff like that. If you play Counter-Strike, there's a bunch of aim training in Counter-Strike built in, but an aim trainer specifically, and I use Aim Hero. There's also Kovacs and Aim Labs, and my question actually to the audience, I hear a lot of people use Kovacs. I've spent 151 hours in Aim Hero as I'm recording this video, and never really touched Kovacs nor Aim Labs, but is that something that you guys want to see? Is that something that I should actually take a look at? I heard a lot of people praise the games, but I don't know how good they actually are. So if you guys have any opinions of that, drop those in the comments. And of course, I'm a small content creator, not that many subscribers on YouTube, so a like on the video actually helps a lot against promoting stuff in the algorithm. And if you're interested, subscribe to the channel if you like FPS gaming, guides, coaching, general talks, and awesome community. Subscribe to the channel, turn on bell notifications so YouTube can stop suppressing my videos, and join our Discord server, which is linked down in the description together with my Twitter and my Twitch. Now, let's talk a little bit about this. Again, I use Aim Hero as my standard foundation, and we have to talk about why. So again, there's two types of aim training. There is these specific aim trainers, right, which practice your accuracy, and then there's in-game aim training. And let's focus on aim trainers first, which in my opinion is the most important one. So Aim Hero, Kovacs, and Aim Labs, for examples, these are game modes, or games actually, that are specifically trained or created just to challenge your accuracy in-game. Normally, you stand still while playing these, and the whole point of them is for you to gain fine control over your muscles in your arm and in your wrist and in your fingers, so that you can precisely move these muscles to, again, impact your mouse so that you aim on the screen. And that's what aim training is all about, and that's what actually FPS, or generally in any, if you're playing a league or anything, when you're playing games on your computer, that's what we do, right? It's in the end, it is, can I move my arm? Do I have so much control over my arm and my wrist and my hands, such a fine, precise control over those muscle groups, that I can move my mouse to a certain part of my screen. Sensitivity and movement speed in a game, and bullet drop and projectiles and all that stuff, that is stuff that you compensate for in your head. That is stuff that, is more about, compensating for the strafing and the movement speed and being able to counteract that with your arm, right? But in the end, right, same with bullet projectiles, right? If it's bullet lead, it's just, can you predict where he's gonna go? Which for a lot of players they can. But then you also need to be able to put the crosshair where you predicted him to go, which is what a lot of people can't do, and it's difficult to do, right? And aim trainers are built specifically on that because of how weird patterns they are, right? Normally we only aim in a lot of FPS games, it's like horizontally most of the time, and maybe a little bit up or a little bit down if you're shooting up and down on a high ground, or you have to do some adjustments due to some character heights, something like that. But majority of the time, it's just horizontal accuracy, right? It's left to right and left to right. And that is fine, right? That's how we do it in-game. But that doesn't really teach you a lot of control, right? That's not a very challenging experience comparatively to what an aim trainer can do. Because aim trainer, especially at the highest level, right? On the highest difficult settings, are very precise starts, right? So headshots, right? Very precise areas that you have to hit. And at the same time, a lot of time there's a time constraint, so it forces you to shoot at a certain speed. And the last thing, they spawn in all kinds of weird, right? You'll have to move top left of your screen, straight down, then top right, then across, then horizontally, then up again. There's all these kind of angles and patterns that you have to do. They're not predictable. You can't predict the pattern. They just randomly spawn, and you have to take in whatever order just shows up. And it forces you to be precise, and it forces you to practice in these scenarios. And that's why they're so good, and that's why a player like Shroud has incredible mouse control, right? Again, control over his muscles in his arm, his wrist, his fingers, is so good at just dropping into an FPS game and can all of a sudden just aim. Because the sensitivity and the movement speed and all of those factors is just something that he needs to compensate for. His aim is just the control over his mouse, and that doesn't change. You can swap games, you don't change the mouse, right? You don't change, he doesn't cut off his arm every time he plays a new game, right? So his muscle memory and his muscle control is still the same. And this is the same if you've ever done anything like a martial art or a physical exercise, like a sport like soccer or basketball or baseball, right? Or if you've done like me, you've done sword fighting or fencing. A lot of it is just control and gaining that over time, gaining that control and stability and that platform to play off on, and then you can do far more advanced things that comes into it, but the foundation is still the same. Now, how do you practice these kind of things, right? So again, the in-game aim stuff, I always have a rule when I coach students, and I always give this, is that you play a minimum 5 to 15 minutes of aim training a day. And that's what I call, that's a minimum, right? But that is essentially, if you don't have time to play any games that day, right? If you can, wake up and play 5 minutes of aim trainer, or play 15 minutes of aim trainer. We want to do this every day, and we want to do it consistently. So if you have a very, strict time schedule, which some players do, some players don't have time to sit down for 5-6 hours a day, right? If you don't have time for that, cool. At least put, as much time, 5 to 50 minutes a day into an aim trainer, right? Aim labs, in my case, Aim Hero or Kovacs, right? Drop that time into those and be good with it. That's all you need. Number 2, and this goes for anything, if it's an aim trainer or if it is an in-game form of aim training, you need to be able to fire controlled shots, right? We're looking for high hit accuracy when we're doing this kind of game. We are taking this shit slow if we have to. We don't want you to practice incredibly fast because, again, bring it back to a sport or something similar that you've done, a martial art, right? You don't take a new guy that had never done this before, or someone that's maybe very unexperienced in this field, and just like you don't get a guy that's new to boxing and just push him into the ring against another boxer and say just do it as fast as you can and make him like just punch as fast hard as he can, right? He has no technique. It's just gonna teach him bad muscle memory, and we do the same here. We don't want you to sit there and click really fast. Clicking fast on the mouse is not difficult. Anyone can do it. I can get a 3-year-old to click fast on a computer mouse and just move it around randomly. What we are looking for is a high hit rate. Now, we're not looking for a 100% hit rate because 100% means that you're not challenging yourself, right? We don't want you to go so slow that you're not actually challenging yourself. What we want is that we want that high hit rate. And I like have a rule like, the high 80s, right? Like, 85 plus, right? 85 to like 97% hit rate. That's like a good accuracy mark to play from, right? When you're doing aim trainers specifically, right? Because that way you're pushing yourself. You might have a 3% miss rate at the best, right? Which is 97, meaning you did miss 3% of your shots, aka you pushed yourself. But at the same time, you're not down in the 80s, right? Because if you have 80% accuracy, you're missing 20% of your shots, right? That's a fifth. 1/5 of every shot you take is a miss, and you don't want that, right? You want the higher end. Now, if you fall under in a couple of matches, that's fine, as long as you keep compensating. Okay, I'm dropping down in the low 80s, high 70s. Okay, I'll slow down a little bit. Okay, now I'm starting to get back up to space. Now I can continue to push myself. So being aware when you're doing aim trainers, incredibly important. My rule is always 45 minutes to an hour. That's how much you're allowed to spend doing any form of aim training. If that's an aim trainer like Aim Hero or Kovacs, or if that's in-game stuff, or a combination of both, right? Again, minimum 5 to 15 minutes of aim trainers, Aim Hero, Kovacs every day, and then you can add on in-game aim training like Anabots in Overwatch, or do a CSGO, what's it called, like not workshop, but you know what I mean, like a custom map in CSGO. You can add that time, or you can spend 45 minutes just in Aim Hero or Kovacs a day, and that's fine. I always recommend, if you have a second monitor, to put on something. If you don't, your phone, put on a podcast, listen to something, watch something, just in general make it more of an enjoyable experience, and relax, right? High hit rate, doing this consistently, and relaxing while we do it, because we don't want you to be stressed while you're doing this. We want it to be very natural for you and in a very relaxed environment when you're practicing your accuracy, so that when you jump in game, you're relaxed, you're chilling, you're just having a good time. You're just following your muscle memory. And that's when you start hitting shots that you won't believe that you could hit before. Where you don't, like, there's multiple times when I play Valorant, and then I push out of a smoke, or I push into an area, and then all of a sudden, like, I see somebody move on my screen, and I just snap onto a headshot. And I didn't think about it. Like, I didn't have to think about it. My muscle memory saw something move, like a dot in Aim Hero, and it just hit it. By default, it just did it. I didn't think about it. That's the kind of thing that we want to do when we're doing aim training. And that's the important part. And again, the last part is you're a little bit about your health. Sometimes you can get very strained on your wrist if you're doing this. You can feel like almost like an irritation or a numbness or something like that. If you're starting to feel that, I highly recommend, 1, start taking some breaks. 2, buy a wrist support, right? They are very cheap. I play with a wrist support every single time I go online. Even sometimes when I work at my job in IT, sometimes I put on a wrist support, because I feel that my wrists sometimes get a little bit irritating, get a little bit frustrated. Whatever you want, it's like there's almost this itchy feeling. I've gone to see a physiotherapist about it. I play with a wrist support, and I don't feel anything. It's not too tight. It's like a good thing. It's kind of just like that they're supporting it, because take care of your wrist. There's so many unfortunate where, they push really hard in aim training, they wear down their wrist, and then they try to go professional, and then they have to quit immediately due to injuries. And there's so many stories about this in esports or professional players that ruin, that the wrist is just completely destroyed, and they can't compete anymore. So take care of your wrist, please. Make sure you're doing this relaxed. So that also means your shoulders, right? Lower your shoulders, that way you're avoiding back pains, right? And neck pains. So lower your shoulders, sit normally in your chair, just lean back, relax, just completely, just like, if you have to, right? Like, that's like something that I've learned, right? Tighten your muscles like in your back and your neck, and then just like drop it. Like, become a sack of potato, and then just like rest your arm on your desk, and then play. And that's the important part, that we also take care of our health. It's not just about the consistency and doing it. It's also about our physical health. You don't want back pains if you're going to try to do this a lot, because a lot of people that do this aim training are the people that just, want to be really, really good because it's fun, right? And that's why I have this channel here on YouTube. I want to help people improve, because being good in FPS games or being good in video games is fun. And I want everybody to enjoy and have a good experience when they're playing games, because it's something that I love and something that a lot of other people love. But at the same time, we got to take care of our health, right? So if we have, go for walks and staying active, and when we're doing this kind of aim trainings, right, take care of our wrists, taking care of our backs, right, not stressing out. And it also helps you in-game, because if you stress in-game, normally you miss, because you tighten your muscles and you lose control over it, right? That's why, again, in martial art and when you're doing sparring and like HEMA or something similar, they teach you get used to relaxing. Yes, there's adrenaline. Yes, you're focused. That's not the same. But your muscles are relaxed. They're not tightened, right? Unless they have to for some maneuver, right? They are relaxed, and then you do whatever you're training to do. And when it comes to aiming in an FPS game, it's about the consistency in your aim training. You do some kovacs, you do whatever, then you go in-game, then you do your in-game trainings. That way you learn to counter-strafe, right? So you learn to counteract the in-game movement speed. You learn spray patterns or recoil control, depending on what game you're playing on, right? If your game that you want to get good at doesn't have something like a lobby for bots or any form of aim training exercises, I will link, for example, for Overwatch, I'll link an aim training video for a really amazing game mode that I use a lot in Overwatch. I will link that down there. But if your game doesn't have that, then I recommend deathmatch servers or something similar to maybe start like practicing. And then always remember, and this is why I say maximum 45 minutes of aim training. Doesn't matter what combination you're doing, maximum 45 minutes to an hour, because after that, your matches, your competitive matches, is your best way of practicing in the end, right? You gotta play against real humans because one, you gotta feel the stressful situation when you're under pressure. You can't just stand still all the time like you do in aim training, and what you should do in aim training if that's what you have to do to consistently hit your target. Then you can rather move when you get better, right? And on top of that, humans are really difficult to hit all the time because they're strafing, because the way that they're moving, especially in high elos, and the way they're kind of pathing, and also the difficulty of you have to outduel another player. So it's not just about consistently hitting. If you're playing the higher, this is about consistently hitting headshots all the time, a lot of time under pressure. You might be flashed, you might be blinded, there might be a bunch of smokes on the screen, there might be a bunch of shields in front of you, depending on what game you're playing. And you gotta be, you know, in those scenarios and practicing against those individuals. That is how my aim has gotten really, really good. And I wish that somebody told me this when I started aim training. Because when I started, way back when I was playing competitively in Overwatch, I did anabots, and I did them so fast that I was missing a lot of my shots. Meaning I did learn slowly, good muscle memory, but it took a long time, and I didn't have a specific aim trainer to teach me mouse control. So I became really, really good on like a couple of heroes and a couple of moves in Overwatch, but my aim overall was really shitty because I didn't have that much control over my mouse. I was just really good at memorizing a couple of moves for a couple of different heroes, and because I did them so fast, I also learned really slowly. So if somebody had told me, use an aim trainer, take this in a decent slow pace so you actually get good muscle memory, and relax so while you do it. I wish somebody had told me that, and that's why I'm making this video, and that's why I hope that you guys will share this around so people can hopefully improve and get better at the game so we can just enjoy these FPS games, if that is because you want to do a competitive career out of it, or just play competitively for fun, or if it's just that you want to be able to be MLG Pro and just absolutely dominate a lobby, because it's so much fucking fun dominating a lobby. It's not fun missing shots. It's not fun losing gunfights. It is, however, fun to just absolutely just obliterate an enemy push on Valorant, or to carry a team fight in Overwatch, or take out a squad in Warzone. That is fun. So I hope you guys like this video. If you do, please like it. Drop a comment down below. Do you want to see me take a look at Kovacs and Aim Labs? I was thinking about doing a comparison between those and Aim Hero, which I'm used to. I do want to see my Aim Hero routines. All of that on top of other comments down in the comment section. It helps out a lot. It's very much appreciated. Subscribe to the channel. Turn on that bell notification. It's also very much appreciated. And of course, if you want to rank up, improve, and get better at the game like Valorant or Overwatch, you can hit me up on a Discord server link down in the description. It's 50 euros for a 2-hour session. You get help, I help you improve fast and rank up, and you also support me financially and help keeping this channel afloat. So thank you guys so much. Please take care, stay positive, wear a mask, and we'll get through this. Tell somebody that you love them. As always, my name has been Jonal, and you guys keep the enemy in your crosshair.